Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Shonia Studio. For those of you who like discussing criminal cases, we deliberately built this channel for you. Don't forget to support our channel by subscribing, liking, commenting and sharing to your social media. It all started when a man named Mikhail, who was 34 years old, met his wife named Aurelia Dunduk, in 1996. At that time, Aurelia was 17 years old and had just moved to Moscow, Russia. Mikhail is a very rich man and he joins the Mafia and also criminal activities around the world. Mikhail asked Aurelia to live with him and Aurelia came to Mikhail's house because at that time, she had no place to live. According to Aurelia, not long after the meeting, Mikhail wanted to marry her immediately. However, Mikhail would only marry her in church, not at the civil registry. Mikhail did not want Aurelia to get property from him, because all the property and money in Mikhail's bank were in the name of his mother and sister. After getting married, Mikhail began to treat Aurelia roughly, and he would do it in front of his family or in public. When Aurelia was pregnant with Mikhail's first child, Mikhail didn't care about the pregnancy. He kept hitting his wife if there was something he didn't like. Aurelia gave birth to Mikhail's first child, whom they named Sergey. When Sergey was 8 months old, Aurel intended to visit her parents in her hometown. However, Mikhail forbade it, and since then, Mikhail has not allowed Aurelia to leave the apartment. During the next 5 years Aurelia in the apartment had given birth to 3 more children, and all of them were girls. They were named Kristina, Angelina, and their last child was named Maria. Aurelia felt that it was enough and did not want to have any more children. So Aurelia secretly bought contraception. Because for more than 2 years Aurelia had not been pregnant again, Mikhail thought that he could not have children, and he began to assume that the 4 children in the house were the result of Aurelia's affair with other men outside the house. Mikhail began to torture Aurelia and her 4 children, and Aurelia had even run away from the house several times with her 4 children. However, because Mikhail had contact with many people, and important people, it was very easy to get them back. Mikhail threatened Aurelia, if she ran away again, then she would never see her 4 children. Aurelia was not only bullied by Mikhail, but Mikhail's mother and family also did the same thing. They even called Aurelia with unsavory words. Mikhail was not only rude to his children and wife at home, but he was also very rude to people outside. He felt like a person who should be feared and also obeyed by everyone around him. He would also carry a firearm in his pocket wherever he went. Many residents have made reports about their discomfort with Mikhail's attitude, but no police want to investigate the case. No one knows where and what Mikhail's job has been. But every day he will leave his house. Many suspect that Mikhail is a dealer in the area. But there is no strong evidence. Every month a very large amount of money goes into Mikhail's family account. However, Mikhail chose to live far from luxury. The house he lives in with his 4 children and wife is a very simple and small apartment. In the apartment most of the place is for storing firearms. And when Mikhail is angry he will use it to threaten his children and wife. Even though Mikhail is very angry and also rude, he is a very religious person. He often goes to church in Palestine, and he hopes that by doing so, he can erase all the sins he has committed. One day Aurelia was rushed to the hospital after being beaten by her husband. At the hospital, Aurelia asked for help to report her husband for what he had done. The doctor and the hospital did not help Aurelia. Even when Aurelia went to the police station, they said that it was a household matter and they would not interfere. Finally, Aurelia returned home to her husband and lived under Mikhail's hand. At that time, their first child named Sergei was 16 years old. And Mikhail suspected that the child was not his biological child. So Mikhail kicked him out of the house without giving him any money or goods. Sergei lived on the streets and every night he would return home to his mother's house and sleep on the emergency stairs, in front of the apartment door. Aurelia prepared food for Sergei there, and because it was cold during the winter, Aurelia invited Sergei to come into the house when her husband was asleep. It wasn't long before Mikhail found out what Aurelia had done. That made him very angry, and finally Sergei was kicked out of the city and was forbidden to return. They were also asked by Mikhail not to tell anyone about what their father did to them. Mikhail installed cameras at every exit and in every room in the house. Because he did not want his children to go out while he was working during the day. After a few months, Mikhail allowed his children to go to school again. But this time, every time the children went to school, there were bruises or scratches on their bodies. The teachers at the school knew what happened to their 3 students, but they couldn't do much because Mikhail had come to the school and threatened the teachers there, and said that if they dared to interfere with his family's affairs, he would kill his family. One of the people from the school tried to collect evidence and wanted to save the 3 children. But when the file had been submitted to the police station, they did not take action to save Mikhail's 3 children. It was all suspected that Mikhail really had a high position, so that the police did not dare to investigate the case. The 3 children also knew that no one would save them. One day Angelina told her 2 siblings that in 2014, when Angelina was 14 years old, her father invited her to go to Palestine to pray at church. Upon arrival from the airport, her father asked her to check in at a hotel. And there Mikhail said that no one would know. And he told her not to tell what he was going to do. Mikhail told Angelina to take a shower with him. And when Angelina asked about their status, that he was her biological father, Mikhail replied if he was not her biological father, then there would be no sin and it would not be a problem. Mikhail, after having sex with Angelina, he said that if she was 18 years old later, then she had to get ready to be his wife. After returning from Palestine, Mikhail and Angelina continued their relationship without the other family knowing. Angelina was under threat from Mikhail, and she kept all the secrets tightly. Finally, from there, Angelina's 2 siblings told their experiences with Mikhail. Maria said that after her mother was thrown out, that night she was called by her father to go to the bathroom. And there Maria was threatened to keep the secret. Maria was told to serve her father, and Mikhail said that he was not her biological father. And he also said not to worry because he could not have children. After that, Kristina also told the same thing, where she said that she was called by her father to help massage. But the massage requested by Mikhail was not an ordinary massage. That's where Kristina's relationship with her biological father began. Mikhail even became a scandal at his children's school, because Mikhail also chatted and sent nude photos to his children's friends at school. After the commotion of the photo at school, one of Mikhail's children tried to end her own life. but she was saved and rushed to the hospital. Mikhail told the doctor that his child took the wrong medicine until she overdosed. Maria was tired of what her father did, and one day Maria was called by her father to the bedroom. But Maria refused. Mikhail immediately dragged her daughter out of the apartment and took Maria into the car. Mikhail took Maria to a forest. And in the forest Maria was tied to a tree trunk. Mikhail invited Maria to have sex, but she still refused. Mikhail finally decided to leave Maria there, and a few hours later Mikhail just returned there, and took Maria home. Upon arriving home, Mikhail told his 3 children that they were not his biological children. Mikhail asked the 3 to serve him in the house, because he was the one who met their needs. The 3 children knew that the police would not help them, and they also knew that Mikhail's family would never support them. They tried to find out about their mother and also their brother, Sergei. But they couldn't get that information. Kristina also said that Maria was still a minor. If they were to appear on the street, her father would come back and take her home. And Kristina didn't want them to be separated. So they decided to continue living simply, until Maria was categorized as an adult. In July 2018, Maria was now 18 years old. That night Mikhail came home from the psychiatric clinic, and when he entered the apartment he saw the apartment room in a mess. Because he did not like the situation, Mikhail called his children one by one to come into his room. There Mikhail sprayed pepper spray into their eyes. And because Kristina had asthma at that time, she fainted in her father's room. After regaining consciousness, they were told to go into their respective rooms. And in that room the 3 of them planned something. They wanted to end the suffering. And Kristina remembered that in her father's car there were tools that he always carried. She went downstairs and searched her father's car. And she found a knife and a hammer. Getting the tools, she went back up to the apartment. That night Mikhail slept soundly on the chair. And the 3 of them who were already holding weapons, finally Angelina beat her father with a hammer. Maria attacked her father with a knife, while Kristina attacked her father with pepper spray. Mikhail woke up and was very shocked. And he who did not know what really happened. He tried to run to the emergency stairs. Angelina immediately took the knife from Maria's hand and chased Mikhail, so that he would not leave the apartment. Angelina stabbed her father in the left chest. And there Mikhail finally fell to the floor. Mikhail took his last breath on the floor of his own apartment. Mikhail got stabbed 36 times. The neighbors on the right and left all heard screams from Mikhail's apartment. But because they knew the condition of the family, then none of them wanted to call the police or go out to see what happened. Finally one of Mikhail's children called the police, and said that his father had died on the floor of the apartment. When the police came, the 3 of them said in unison that his father tried to attack them with a knife and they managed to take the knife. Finally they attacked his father back. Because of pressure from investigators to tell the truth. Finally the 3 of them said what happened. The 3 children were charged with first-degree murder and the 3 of them were put in prison. When investigators collected evidence of Mikhail's death, they heard the case that happened in the house. And it turns out that now they know that Mikhail is not a victim, but a perpetrator of violence. According to the psychiatrist who treated Mikhail, he entered the clinic because he complained of not being able to control his emotions and lust. While Maria, Mikhail's youngest child, was diagnosed with severe stress when she committed her crime that night. Mikhail's family went to the police station and said that the 3 children killed Mikhail just to get his father's wealth. However, investigators found that Mikhail did not leave anything for them, because all his property was in the name of Mikhail's mother and sister. Because the case was still being investigated by investigators, the 3 women were given parole until they awaited the trial schedule. After they were released from custody, they were not given permission to use the internet and were also not given permission to live together. After the incident in 2018, the 3 women lived in confusion and uncertainty, because the police could suddenly pick them up and put them in prison again. Russian citizens have repeatedly demonstrated to give total freedom to the 3 women, because they are the real victims. But not a few residents also said that the women was a very dangerous women and they should be put in prison. This case is still very difficult to process legally, because it turns out that Russia does not have a law for perpetrators of domestic violence. Russia says that household matters are private matters that cannot be interfered with by other parties, so in Mikhail's case, the police also did not get a solution, because there is no law for Mikhail's violence against his children. In October 2023, it was reported that Anatoly Ryazankin, the first Deputy Prosecutor General of Russia, denied the request to approve the indictment against Kristina and Angelina. Igor Krasnov, the Prosecutor General, concurred with his opinion as the investigative committee tried to object. The investigators were instructed yet again to establish the motives of the girls, taking into account their traumatic experience. It was expected that this demand may lead to the investigation being over only after the verdict in the Mikhail's posthumous case. The investigation against the 3rd sister, Maria, was also expected to last longer, as yet another medical sexological psychiatrical evaluation of hers was being prepared. It was not excluded that Kristina and Angelina might be re-examined as well. That's all for today's case. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. If you don't mind, click the subscribe button to support our channel. Thank you to the subscribers. See you in the next case. Greetings from Shonia Studio.